It's time for Let's Chat with Russtek, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs just like you. When starting out, entrepreneurs often feel they need to go it alone, and I'm here to tell you that's just not the case. Entrepreneurs have a lot of questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Nick Russell, and this is Let's Chat with Russtek. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat with Russtek. My name is Nick Russell, and today I want to talk about the difference between a market and your audience. And one of the common things everyone always asks, what is your target market? Well, we'll talk about why that's the wrong thing to ask and why it's your target audience that you're trying to reach. But before we get into that, it kind of reminds me of a story and to continue the kind of story that we talked about in the last few podcasts about me leaving the beer store. Now, I was very fortunate, even though I was blindsided by what happened, I was very fortunate that the beer store made sure that I was okay. I kind of got a golden handshake, so to speak, because they knew they were in the wrong. And after I talked to a couple of lawyers and the labor board, they all agreed that the beer store realized that they were in the wrong and I was the scapegoat. And so I got this golden handshake, a handful of money, and I was set up for quite some time after that. Now, luckily for me, that gave me a great opportunity to really learn and, well, take a little bit of a vacation, but really learn and dive deep into how to building a business, how to start a business, and figure out where the direction I wanted to go was. Now, the cool thing was I was able to do things on my own time. I wasn't stuck in a quote unquote 9 to 5 anymore. I could do things on my own time. And one of the things that I found that kind of fit into the schedule and the routine that I started was I was able to go to a local market that was 2 blocks away from me. And I started meal prepping and I started eating a little healthier instead of getting things on the go from the actual grocery stores. I was able to shop at our local market and get our local meats, some veggies. And in doing that, it was cool. The meat store that was in this market, I'm not even going to pretend to try to pronounce the name. If you read my blog this week, you'll see the name of this store, this business, but they are absolutely amazing people. And the cool thing about that is as they got to know me and I got to know the people working behind the counter, they really got to see the orders that I was putting in. The odd time I'd get a steak or pork chops or something like that. But one of the things I got on a continual basis was my ground beef. So I can make my burgers and put that in my pasta and whatever. And they had a deal for £4 and they got to know me and know the time that I was going in. They would put the £4 into each individual bag. So it was perfect for me just to freeze right away. I wouldn't have to do anything and have, half pound of one, pound and a half in the other bag and have it all mixed up. They made it nice and easy for me. So I was an extremely satisfied customer there. Now, there was another meat store just down the street at another market called Jeff's, and they've been around forever, since I've been a kid. But I would sometimes go and get my steaks there because he would season them for you the way you like. But for the most part, I went to this Ottawa street market here in Windsor, and I would get my ground beef and my other stuff from them. I was very satisfied. And one of the other cool things about living where I did, I had the market 2 blocks this way and 2 blocks this way. If you've seen any of my posts on any of my social media platforms, on my personal profiles, you'd know I absolutely love Chapter 2 Brewery. That to me, that's my Cheers. That's my neighborhood bar. That's my go-to spot. I love it. I'm a diehard fan, a diehard customer. I love it there. If I'm not there on a Friday night, I'm bringing my laptop and working on a Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon. I'm doing, I'm there maybe once, sometimes twice a week, depending. But that's my home. That's my second home. I love that place. So I'm a diehard fan. Now, don't get me wrong. There are other breweries here in Windsor, and I'll get some beer from them from time to time. But when it comes to bringing beer home to have for a hockey game or a football game when it's on, or baseball in the summer, that's the beer that I buy home for home, and that's the place that I visit more often than anything because I'm a diehard fan of Chapter Two. Now, one other story about one other company, a company that I was very frustrated with, was the company that I had my router from. Now, as you can imagine, as a remote business, I need to have really good Wi-Fi, especially if I'm recording these podcasts or if I'm on a call with a client or in a meeting on Zoom. I need to have good Wi-Fi. So my Wi-Fi router, after so many years of having it, kept kicking out. Now I stuck with this one brand for a very long time, probably 15 years, if not more. But all of a sudden it started kicking out. So I made sure I updated the firmware. I did a few things to troubleshoot where it was plugged in, what outlet it was in, the surge protector, all these things. Nothing seemed to work. It just kicked out from time to time. And through my troubleshooting, I knew it wasn't the actual modem. It wasn't the internet coming into the house, and it wasn't the modem. It was the router. So put that one under drawer. It's at the end of the life cycle. It's old. I got a brand new one, same company, because that's the company I've had forever. That started kicking out and doing the same thing. Went through the same troubleshooting steps, called their support. We went through everything, and still it kept going. Now, as you can imagine, especially when I do a lot of meetings on Zoom, especially through the pandemic, I could not have this happen on a continual basis. So I was extremely frustrated with this product. Luckily, they refunded me my money for the one that I bought, but it was time to move on to a different company because I was frustrated. Now, as I was searching and looking and back and forth, I was getting ads from all these other different all these companies that made routers. And I found one that fit exactly what I needed. And knock on wood, I've been pretty happy with that since. Now, and the last three little stories that I told you about, there was three words that I kept bringing up: diehard, satisfied, and frustrated. Okay. Now, these are the three different types of audiences that will use the market, that are inside of a market. Okay. So you, as a business, want to market to the audience that you're going to serve best. So you want to, if you're selling product A and this audience has a handful of diehard people that have a product similar to A.1 or whatever, you're going to have a hard time taking these customers away from that because they're diehard fans. You're going to be hard pressed to get me to go work from another brewery, to become have another brewery as my neighborhood bar, because Chapter 2 is my home. Now, I have visited other breweries here and there, but Chapter 2 is my home. I'm a diehard fan. Now, I'm very satisfied with the Ottawa Street Market meat vendor, but I will visit other vendors and maybe go a few weeks without going there. But for the most part, I'll go there. So if somebody's selling ground beef and there's a better sale, there's a better deal, or maybe I'll go somewhere else for a second. But for the most part, I'm satisfied with this vendor. Now, I was very frustrated with one company that sold a router. I was definitely looking to upgrade and get something different from a different company. So it was easy to market me and pull me away from that company that I've been with for a while and go somewhere else. Right. Another example is, I don't have one with me close by, but blackberries. Now, fortunately, I have a Samsung because BlackBerry, who knows, even Onward Mobility that was announced they were making another BlackBerry said that's it. Or they didn't even say anything, but it's pretty much dead in the water now. So I've turned into a Samsung guy. Now, I've been a diehard BlackBerry guy. And if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see I have my BlackBerry Bold and a Curve that are behind me in the office, taken apart in shadow boxes. That's how much of a diehard fan I am. My first BlackBerry Bold is hanging on the wall. I'm sorry, that's the Curve. The Bold is on this side if you're watching. But that was my very first BlackBerry, and it's something I'm very proud of. And there's a story behind that and why that's in the shadow box. But the Curve I did as well to kind of offset them. But it took me a very long time to leave BlackBerry. It wasn't until my Key 2 legit died and I needed something. So that's when I went to a Samsung phone. But you're not marketing to the market. You're marketing to your audience. And inside that audience, there are those three groupings of people: the diehards, the satisfied customers, and the frustrated ones. Okay, so that's something to think about as you're looking for your audience, where your audience is congregating, hanging out, and then seeing inside of that audience: are they satisfied? Are they diehards? Or are they frustrated with what with what they currently have? So that's who you want to target. That's an easy customer, an easy lead you can generate and hopefully help serve them at a higher level than what they are being served at now. So that's really all I had to talk about. And as we've talked about in the last few weeks, all of this comes from the Expert Secrets book by Russell Brunson. And you'll see it on the outro after this, but it's 100% free book. All you have to do is pay for shipping. The book itself is completely free. So that the link is in the description to grab that. And with all of that said, I hope you got a little something out of this podcast. And if you're listening to or you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications for our episodes. And we'll chat with you again next week. Hold up one quick second. I have one thing to offer you, and it's absolutely free. So just give me about 20, 30 seconds of your time, and I promise you this is going to be worth it. Now, if you've been listening to my podcast, my blogs for the last few weeks, we've been talking about Expert Secrets, a book by Russell Brunson. Now, this is a book you can get absolutely free. All you have to do is click the link to the description of this podcast or YouTube video if you're watching it. But this is not just any book. This is a book that helps you find your message, no matter what your industry is, and use that to serve your audience and become an expert in whatever field it is you're in. Now, this book is what Russell uses, everything from cover to cover. He uses this to coach his clients, and to be one of his clients, he charges $10,000. So you could either spend $10,000 to learn from the best marketer in the world, or you can click the link in the description of this podcast / YouTube video and get your copy of Expert Secrets absolutely free. I've read this book about 4 or 5 times at least, and I use it as a textbook now because it is that good. So again, if you want Expert Secrets for free, something Russell Brunson uses and charges his clients $10,000 for, you get that absolutely free by clicking the link in the description of this video or heading to rustekmedia.com/links and click on the Expert Secrets button.